Good morning. This is Dr. Sahib Chakima, the Executive Director for Ummah United Muslim Alliance of Albany, and I'm very honored to have Peter here with us. And before we actually introduce Peter, I'm even more excited with the fact that the community is actually more engaged now, unfortunately, for not the best reasons. And the election cycle is here, and November 5th is right around the corner. And one thing actually that is happening this year that never happened in the past, and that is that the community is not only mobilizing and engaging, but actually they're looking at a third option. And when I say community, it's not just the Muslim community. It's, matter of fact, the American citizens here, they're tired of the two-party system. They're tired of having only two presidential candidates standing out. And what happened in this cycle, which is again historical, is that the Muslim community, the vast majority, they're leaning towards Dr. Jill Stein as the option for them. Surveys are showing that, and the numbers are only increasing. Now, here in the state of New York, we're facing a dilemma type of thing, right? Dr. Jill Stein has been blocked systematically from adding her name officially on the ballot. But thank God there is another way, and this is what the community has been asking here in the state of New York. They're saying, hey, we want to vote for Dr. Jill, but the fact that her name is not going to be on the ballot officially, just like all the other presidential candidates in the standardized way, how do we go about it? And this is why we are here today with Peter, an amazing person. I know him personally, and I couldn't think of anyone better than him to educate us about this because I want to learn about what are all the options that I have on the ballot, and one of them is the writing. So with no further delay, Peter, educate us.
Thank you so much, Sahib. Yeah, I wanna just say, my name is Peter Lavinia. I am the co-chair of the Green Party of New York State, and I want to just spend a couple of minutes explaining how you could potentially vote for Dr. Stein because it is more difficult here in New York State, and this is like Sahib has said, been done systematically to deprive us of our choices, right? I mean, Dr. Stein is running on an anti-genocide agenda. She's running against the American war machine. She wants to give people a choice in this election. But here in New York State, it's not as easy as some other states where she's going to appear on, her name's going to appear on the ballot. And so what we need to do is to educate people about what happens when you go into the polling place. And the easiest thing to do is to show you a little graphic about how we can do that, because it's so important if we're going to send a message to the power brokers in Washington that we do not want these policies to continue. We have to have a big vote for Dr. Stein. And so we're asking people to take a look at this and to cast an informed ballot decision on the 5th, or if you decide to start with early voting, right? So if you look at this graphic, what you see is that it says write in on this on the form here. And what you're going to find when you walk into a place to vote, a polling place, or if you have an absentee ballot, there will be rows of candidates. Now, the easiest thing for you is to find the row that says president, vice president. That's usually going to be the first row on any ballot. And if you go down to the bottom of that ballot, there will be a space that says write in. What you're going to have to do here in the Capital District or anywhere else is bubble in the section that says write in, right? So there will be a little oval, and you have to ensure the first thing you do is to take your pen and to mark that fully. And then in that column, you're going to have to write Jill Stein, right? Just as it is here, Jill Stein. And then underneath that, you're going to have to write her vice presidential candidate's name, Rudolph Ware. And it has to be written like this, and it has to be written fully, right? We do also recommend you can do it like this to ensure, because sometimes the Board of Elections likes to look for technicalities. You can write Jill Stein, and then for president, right next to her, and Rudolph Ware for vice president next to his name. You do have to fit these things in the box that is included for the write-in. This is really important. The problem with the way American elections work, as many of you probably know, is that The big parties like to disenfranchise people and voices that aren't what their campaign donors want. And so they're going to find any way to get rid of these votes for Dr. Stein and Dr. Ware. So again, what you got to do is you got to bubble in that little oval on the right end. You write in Jill Stein, and then underneath that, you write in Rudolph Ware. And it's as simple as that when you walk in. If you're choosing to vote for Dr. Stein and Dr. Ware, as a number of groups have encouraged us to do. Dr. Stein was just endorsed by the Abandon Harris group. She gave an interview on TV this weekend talking about this and about what's just starting to happen. Kind of this momentum building in states, especially swing states. Even though New York's not a swing state, giving a big vote to Dr. Stein here in New York State would say that people are fed up with the way that they're being ignored and not listened to, both about this and about other things like healthcare, jobs, housing costs, inflation. Because right now your choices on the ballot, at least to my mind, are you're either going to vote for Harris, who is she's got a lot of big money and she's running the war machine right now, or Donald Trump, and we know that Donald Trump talks in a racist way, in an anti-immigrant way. And he also is beholden to big money. He's not interested in ending any of the problems that American foreign policy has caused. So we want a big vote for Dr. Stein, and we encourage you, or I encourage you, to really walk into the polling place and cast your ballot here. And if we get here in New York State, the last thing I'll say, if the Green Party gets 130,000 votes for Dr. Stein and Dr. Ware, we are going to have what is called ballot status scan. That means it's going to be easier to run candidates on this message over and over again around the state, and that's exactly what we want to do. So
I'm happy that you mentioned that, Peter. And actually, I'm gonna follow up that with two questions. One, you know what? Sometimes people, when they're really ready to go in, they panic and they might forget the spelling of Dr. Jill or Dr. Ware. Let me ask you a question. Can they have their phones on them and look up the names as they write, or can they actually have a sticky note to kind of like look at the name and just make sure that they're actually having the correct spelling? Because that's the first thing that comes to my mind. And like you said, they're going to look for these technicalities, right? Instead of
yes,
an I, you might look, I don't know, maybe you might put an E. I'm just, thinking out loud. So
absolutely.
can they have their phones or sticky notes or whatever form of something to remind them of how the names should look like?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes. If we have actual palm cards that we're handing out, if you have that, you're allowed to take that in,
Mhm.
and you can use it to write to look and write the names correctly. But you could also have your phone and a picture, or you could have, say, in your pocket, you could have the names written down correctly. And we highly recommend that you do this. Sahib, just as you said, so that people don't forget, or in the moment you don't see or think about the right spelling. Completely legal. You absolutely can do that.
I do have a follow-up. The second question, it's not a question, but more of like something to lead on. A lot of people say it's all about this election, and then after that, we're done, right? And you said something very important. You said if we kind of like hit that target, then it opens the door for other things, right? Because a lot of people are tired of the two-party system. Can you please elaborate on that for people who are trying to see, is my vote only going to be for this election cycle, or is this something that's going to open the door for something much, much bigger? And I think you really kind of like opened that door for us. So we do not want to close that door. Can you please elaborate?
Absolutely. So both here and in New York and elsewhere, what we're looking to do is build on this, right? I mean, we see an incredible outpouring of people who are just sick with the way that the system is working, and I know that people wonder how we can change it, right? And one of the ways that we can change it is by building strong organizations like the Green Party who are committed to changing this system. And so here in New York, one way to do that is to get the votes and to get that ballot status back, but then to run candidates, right? We encourage people to consider supporting candidates that are against the war and for the issues that they actually believe in. But we're doing this across the country. Greens are running for office all across the country, and the important thing is when they're running that we support them, or other candidates that are talking about this message, and build up a coalition Like we've seen in the past here in the US, this has happened. There have been other parties and other groups that really do change things. And so it's not just about one election. It really is, hey, next year for city council, for state legislature, for for almost anything, really building that power and working in the local community. And that's what we're doing and what we want to do. And so your vote is not just about this election, which is it's very important, but it's about going forward and thinking differently because the powers that be really want you to think, well, you only have two choices. That's never been the case. You have whatever choice you want. And building on that means that we could have many, many different options. And that's really the sign of a healthy democracy and a government that will listen to people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate it. Our organization always aims to educate, but there's only so much that we can do. In conclusion, maybe are there links for our, anyone who wants to learn more about the Green Party, for somebody who wants to learn more about Dr. Stein and everything that you guys are doing? They might want to get involved. They just want to maybe just be educated, whatever it is. Is there a way for them to actually kind of find that through your link?
Absolutely. So we're on Instagram, right? So you can follow us, Green Party of New York. You can follow us on Twitter or X. That's at the letters GPNY. We're also Green Party of New York on Facebook. And if you want to go to our website, it's the letters gpny.org. You can reach out to us or follow us anywhere, and that's the best way to get in touch or to keep up to date.
Hey, thank you so much. Definitely informative. If we have any follow-up questions, I know how to reach out to you. You've been great help. Thank you so much. I'm sure the community would appreciate this educational session. And best of luck. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank
We'll
you.
be in touch. Thank you.